Oh man, I lost to Ashley at Fantasy this week and we made a deal that whoever loses has to cook dinner. I have no idea how to cook. I don't know what to do.
I might have something for you. Have you tried HelloFresh?
What's that?
HelloFresh has you covered with everything you need delivered right to your door, so you can meal plan with peace of mind. HelloFresh has loads of different meals to choose from, so you're definitely not left short of options. Cook delicious and healthy meals in less than 20 minutes, as HelloFresh allows you to prepare meals quickly and easily.
Wow, how did you manage that?
Get 60% off your first box and 25% off for 2 months using our code Tottenham60 on screen now. Conditions apply. What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another Tottenham update for you guys, and we're going to be talking about all the news surrounding the World Cup and some potential transfer news for you guys as well. Again, my brother is still ill. Let's all wish him better and a speedy recovery, but you're going to have to contend with just me for today. And first up, we're talking about Richarlison, and there's been an injury update about Richarlison after his return from the World Cup. There are rumours that he might be out between 3 and 4 weeks, but it seems to be a bit worse than that. According to Ali Gold, Tottenham are set to be without Richarlison for around 5 to 6 weeks after the attacker suffered a hamstring injury at the World Cup. That's obviously a major blow for Tottenham, considering already we've had a few injuries at this World Cup, and we're heavily reliant on people like Kane, who we don't know what form he's going to come into. Son hasn't been in the best form either this season. Kulusevski looks fit and firing, but he's just returned from an injury. Now about 6 weeks ago, but he looks good in pre-season. But it's a bit of a worry that Richarlison has picked up this lengthy injury, and that we're not going to have too many options off the bench to change things if Kulusevski, Kane and Son isn't quite working, or either of them pick up an injury. So Richarlison being out for 5 to 6 weeks is a bit of a blow. Hopefully he comes back sooner than expected. But that is the latest news from Ali Gold, and we wish him a speedy recovery. And look, hopefully that can maybe force Tottenham to up the ante in January for an attacker, which we are rumoured to be looking at. Next up is some transfer news, and this comes from Ben Jacobs on Twitter, and he says Tottenham are big admirers of Borussia Dortmund's Youssoufa Moukoko. Obviously, he is a 17-year-old striker who has lit up the Bundesliga this season. He did get called up for Germany at the World Cup, but didn't seem to get too many minutes at this World Cup. So it was maybe one World Cup too soon for the 17-year-old, but he has been bagging in the goals as a teenager for Borussia Dortmund, and is one of the most sought-after youngsters around at the moment. And obviously Tottenham are going to be big admirers of him. There's no surprise. I'm sure a lot of teams are big admirers of him. He is available on a free in the summer, seeing as his contract is running out. So it's definitely one Tottenham should definitely be sniffing around if there is a possibility he'd be interested in coming to Tottenham. But considering how he has exploded already at such a young age, I do feel like there'll be a lot of big teams looking at him. And can Tottenham guarantee him the game time if that's going to be a difference maker? And can they guarantee him the money if that's going to be a difference maker? I don't know if they can guarantee either of those things right now. So I do see it unlikely that Muokoko does come to Tottenham on a free, but if he's willing to come, it'll be an absolute brilliant piece of business from Tottenham to get him in, and he's going to be a star of the future, if not already, and he's already proving he can play in these big games. So hopefully that's one I would love to see through the door, but I'm a bit sceptical whether that's really possible. But who knows? He is 17. Maybe he'd already come to Tottenham, but I would be very surprised. Next up is about Evan Ndicka, and this comes from Dean Jones Soccer on Twitter. He says Eintracht Frankfurt's Evan Ndicka is probably a centre-back target that Tottenham will look at either in the January or in the summer. I mean, probably a target isn't something you want to hear from a potential centre-back you're looking at. You want Tottenham to be certain about him. He's been heavily rumoured with a move to Arsenal, considering he doesn't have long on his contract left either. And he's a very promising young 23-year-old centre-back, left-footed centre-back as well, so plays on the left side. And he's definitely one who's playing very well for Frankfurt. We saw him firsthand in the group stage of the Champions League when Spurs played Frankfurt, and I thought he had 2 very strong showings. And I think he's one who's a bit raw at the moment, can be a bit rash, but clearly has the potential to be a top centre-back on the ball as well. He has a lot of composure, gets forward well. He has pretty good ability in the final third as well. But defensively, needs to iron out his positioning. He can be a bit rash, but physically very strong, very fast, and has a lot of potential. So definitely one Spurs should be looking at for that left-sided centre-back role if other targets don't pan out. Next one is going to be from Pedro Porro. This is from O Jogo, a publication out in Portugal. They say Tottenham have made contact with former Man City officials to seek their opinion on Pedro Porro. Obviously, former Man City player, and Man City have a release clause of 20 million euros as an instant buyback if they want it. There has been reports coming from Ali Gold saying that Tottenham, and specifically Fabio Paratici, does like Pedro Porro, and he likes the profile of him, but there is some uncertainty whether he fits the profile of an Antonio Conte wing-back, and whether they believe physically he's going to be up to the task of what Conte wants from their wing-back. So I, for one, am very excited about the prospect of Pedro Porro. I think he's a very good attacking wing-back, and I think his attacking numbers are there for all to see, that he's really good at getting crossed in the box. He's a very good crosser of the ball. He's good at arriving at the back post, and he's really solid when it comes to final third goal contributions and being a threat, and he's very quick. He's good at dribbling, one-on-one dribbling as well, but he's maybe a bit on the short side. Maybe when it comes to physical strength, he isn't at the top of the list, and he's not so being that the fact he's not the tallest, maybe that's something that worries Conte, and maybe that's why they're seeking out a bit of assurance from maybe former Man City officials that this could be the guy to answer our prayers at right wing back. I, for one, I think it's worth taking the risk. I think the strengths outweigh the weaknesses, but there is some concerns at the moment that if he is the answer or not. So remains to be seen. But I, for one, really like the look of him, and I think he could do a very good job for us at right wing back. Next story comes from Paul O'Keefe, and he says on Twitter, Spurs could offer Hugo Lloris and Cuti Romero 2 weeks off after the World Cup final. Obviously, Cuti Romero, now a world champion after Argentina's World Cup win against France in the World Cup final yesterday, in what was a topsy-turvy, bonkers World Cup final. He specifically, from an individual point of view, was outstanding, I thought, in the World Cup final. I thought he had an absolutely brilliant game, capped off a fantastic tournament, and maybe enhancing his reputation as one of Europe's right now, and maybe the world's top centre-backs, Cuti Romero, considering his record for Argentina. Hopefully he can take that into his Spurs performances, and I think he has had a very good start to Spurs career as well. But what a World Cup he has had, and considering there's going to be a lot of celebrating, a lot of time spent in Argentina, and there's not long to go until the start of the Premier League, I think it's probably best if Romero gets a bit of a rest, considering how much effort he's put into this World Cup, and considering how good he has been. And he's come back from injury, maybe he's played with some niggling injuries, and he hasn't quite it wasn't his best at the start, but he definitely hit his stride once the tournament got into the knockout stages, and I thought he clearly put in a lot into this tournament, and we want him back. We don't want to rush him back. We want him back at 100%. If that means him having a 2-week break, that makes sense for me. For me, when it comes to Lloris, I think goalkeepers are a bit different. I think goalkeepers can play after short spaces of time. They don't need as long a breaks as maybe outfield players to have their body rest. They're not running for 90 minutes like outfield players. So I do think Lloris should be ready for 8 days' time. But if he needs a break just to get for the mental side and things like that, and just to recharge, mentally recharge and stuff like that, I think that's also okay. Maybe Fraser Forster can fill in for a couple of games, but hopefully they come back at 100%. I think that's the main thing. Both players need to come back 100% ready to play for Tottenham, and then we'll see. So hopefully they're not away for too long, but for especially in Romero's case, I understand if he needs a couple of weeks off. And finally, the Times had an article about Wayne Rooney sharing his inside advice into what comes next for Harry Kane, and he was giving some advice in his article about Kane and his obviously his missed penalty against France, how it affected him. And this is some quotes from Rooney's article. He says, 2022 was Harry Kane's best tournament, and what is next for Harry Kane? There will be some backlash. It will happen when he plays away from home. Spurs with Spurs, and fans of the opposition will give him stick and try and upset him. him, but as soon as he scores his next goal, his missed penalty will begin to be forgotten about. From knowing Harry and his mentality, he'll be able to move on. He just needs to get back on the pitch and put the ball in the net as soon as possible. Harry had to cope not just with the thoughts about the record, but the whole scenario. He was trying to get England level late in a massive game. His club captain was the opposition keeper. He had already taken a penalty in that game. For a taker, that is a horrible situation. So much must have been going through Harry's head. Do I go the same way? Do I go another way? He's my teammate. He knows how I run up to the ball, my favourite side, my body shape, when I kick, even the way I put the ball down on the spot. Every detail. I could see the nerves straight away as he prepared for the kick. Little signs of anxiety there you almost never see in Harry. But Harry will be back. I've heard people say someone else should have taken the second penalty. No chance. As an England fan, if someone else has taken the ball, I would have been fuming. There is nobody else I would want to take that penalty but Harry. And I think Rooney, I think that's some good words and hopefully some good encouraging advice for Harry Kane, because I'm sure Kane will be thinking about that penalty miss, and that'll be all on his mind until he gets back on the pitch for Tottenham and able to put it right. And there's a big question marks whether he's going to have that fire in his belly and be back to his best straight away for Tottenham and with a point to prove, or will there be a bit of a World Cup hangover after that penalty miss, and will it affect him, and will the fans giving him stick, will that affect him, and is he prepared for that? I for one think he hopefully will have that fire in his belly. I think he will. I think he's that type of character who's going to be willing to prove the doubts wrong. Whenever people come back at him, that's always a source of motivation for Harry Kane. So I truly believe he's going to come back firing, and he will come back with a point to prove, and he'll want to win. He's going to want to win a trophy for Tottenham this season, prove people wrong, because he needs that trophy monkey off his back. But I think hopefully he takes those words from Rooney to heart, and hopefully he can feed off them, and he'll come back firing once the start of the Premier League. But that is your Tottenham update for today. We've spoken about a variety of topics. Let me know in the comment section below any thoughts you had on any of the topics we discussed. Like, subscribe if you're liking the content, and as always, come on you Spurs.